Shana Tova. When Rabbi Benjamin reached out to me about potentially doing a mini drash, my first instinct was to say no. I'm perfectly fine in my attic, thank you very much. And I have a grab bag of like really great excuses: chronic migraines, sleep apnea, pinched nerve, day job, family responsibilities. It's a solid list of excuses, but something felt funny in my chest when I imagined saying no, even though I'm an expert at saying no usually to all kinds of great opportunities, just so I can get a little more quiet time. If you allow me to back up for a minute, when COVID first hit in 2020, there were many things to be worried about. I mean, there's still many things to be worried about, but at that moment, I know for some people it was hard and devastating, and I do not want to diminish the tragedies and the complexities of what happened. But if you'll allow me to put that aside for a second and just talk about like one neurotic introvert hiding in their attic, there were some amazing aspects of the pandemic. I'm a writer, introvert, hide in the attic a lot, and I have a day job in the tech industry. And so I was thrilled to be forced into staying in that attic. Among other things, I could focus on the novel I was working on about my grandparents, fictionalized story of my grandparents, immigrants coming to a small town in rural Georgia and trying to find a sense of community. I kind of always fall back on like writing about people aching to connect with others. But at the same time, I was happy to limit my real world interactions to just those little boxes on the Zoom screen. Maybe some of y'all, and I love the power of just being able to click that red disconnect button when I was done. As we started getting back into regular-ish life, I know we all found ways of reconnecting and reemerging. Me maybe slower than others, but in 2022 I published a novel. And so I pushed myself to get out there, go to readings, go to events, and socialize. And I had fun with it, but I was doing it with maybe a little bit of an agenda, maybe to sell more than 0 books occasionally, which didn't happen nearly as often as my publisher hoped. But after that period was over, I just went right back into the attic. I knew the routine. I liked that routine. But there still was that itch inside of me. It wasn't that I was lonely or depressed, but it was like I was playing the video game version of my life. I was almost like I was aching for another button beside the red disconnect, like maybe like a purplish button that said, let's linger here for a few more seconds and talk about how we're really feeling. That would be tricky to put on a button, I realize. Martin Buber, existential philosopher, he gets credited for saying, when two people relate to each other authentically, God is the electricity that surges between them. Whether you believe in God or how you believe in God, what speaks to me about this realm of Buber's writing, at least the parts I can follow, some of it is a little too esoteric for me, but the parts I follow, what I love about it is that he speaks about the power in that relationship between you and me. In the past year, I've celebrated my younger kid's B'nai Mitzvah, my older kid's wedding, my brother's wedding, and I've also spent more time with family and friends who have needed support, either for health reasons, emotional reasons, or even just helping them install or uninstall Zoom. But something's shifted in me recently, which is like I'm learning how to connect without an expectation of getting something out of the deal. It was like I wasn't aiming for any specific outcome because being together was the outcome. I've also been listening to more stories from my mom and dad lately, just listening and absorbing and appreciating their stories without trying to swipe them for my novel or something like that, even though they are pretty juicy stories, but just appreciating those moments for what they are. I guess, as I was writing these stories alone in the attic, about people trying to connect, I forgot that occasionally it's important to actually connect with actual people every now and again. I don't know if any of y'all relate to that, but it took me many years to realize that. And so I say yes to being here today because I need this relationship with you, even as an introvert who loves to hide in the attic. So I'd like to say just Shana Tova, Toda Rabah, and thank you for listening to this and being an essential part of this electricity between you and me. Thank you.